Hello, welcome to today's webinar on mastering your finances with ease. I'm, let's get started here. So today, it's going to be kind of a quicker webinar, and I'm going to talk about the psychology of money. And I think it's going to help maybe a bit with saving and looking at your finances, kind of give you a better understanding of how people deal with money, think about money. It might give you more confidence in your situation and how you deal with money. And then I'm going to pull up a budgeting tool I made in Excel, look at some saving techniques, and maybe talk about using Excel if anyone has experience or wants to get into it. So, starting on psychology of money. So, financial decisions. When you're making financial decisions, these are kind of the four categories that shape how you make them. So, pretty obvious, money decisions are personal. So, no two people are going to have the same perspective, right? You're not going to have the same lives, same situation scenarios you've been through. And, for example, someone growing up during a financial crisis, say the Great Depression, the oil crisis in the 80s or 70s, is going to be extremely cautious with money, while someone who experienced rapid economic growth will be willing to take more risks. I know my grandfather grew up in the Depression or was kind of born in that area. So they came from a very poor family, very frugal, never threw anything away, always tried to repair things, never bought new, always looked for deals in that. Whereas someone, maybe a boomer who grew up in the age of prosperity, spends more, takes more risks, doesn't think too much about what they're spending on. History shapes your behavior. So if you were born in the 1970s, when you saw high inflation, you might view debt as dangerous. But if you became an adult in the 2000s during the stock market boom, you might believe stocks are the easiest way to get rich. If your family struggled financially when you were young, you might prioritize financial security over high returns. The same event feels different to different people. Obviously, everyone has different perceived experiences, right? So two investors can view the same stock market crash and react differently. One sees it buying as a buying opportunity, the other panics and sells. I know for myself, whenever I see the market go down, I view that as a buying opportunity to get in at low prices. Generally, the stock market tends to correct itself and eventually go up. I'm younger now, so maybe if I was 80, I'd be a little panicky, might want to sell, but in my current age, in my financial journey, I'd want to buy low. And this is because, past experiences determine how you interpret risk and opportunity. Nobody is making financial decisions with perfect logic. So people aren't walking around with spreadsheets, calculating the mathematically optimal choice. You're not a financial advisor. So instead, you make decisions based on emotions, fears, your personal history, what feels right at the moment. So looking at an example, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates' friend. So if anyone doesn't know Warren Buffett, big investor, I think his portfolio is worth 84 billion. And just kind of clarify or little tidbit fun fact, of his $84 billion net worth, 81 billion of that was made after the age of 65. And that's due to the power of compound interest. So being in the market, it's more profitable about timing the market than trying to time it and buy the best investments. So Warren Buffett, he grew up in a financially stable home. He was introduced to investing at an early age and shaping his long-term approach. I think he started investing at age 10. Bill Gates' childhood friend, Kent Evan, he was also kind of a part of making Microsoft and being part of learning about computers at his young age. But unfortunately, he died in a freak accident at age 17. This highlights how luck, timing, experience plays a massive role in financial outcomes. So the big lesson is, instead of judging others' financial decisions, understand that everyone sees money differently. There's no universal right way to manage your money because people's experiences shape their beliefs and behaviors. So I'm going to save different than you save or make your financial decisions. Doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. You just gotta look at what you're comfortable with, what your past experiences have made you, or maybe want to change because of your past experiences. So next, we're going to look at luck and risk. So they're kind of two sides of the same coin. So luck and risk are both invisible forces that shape outcomes in ways we can't fully control. So just as luck can make someone rich, risk can ruin someone who's made all the right financial moves. So you can make all the investments, hedge yourself, time the market perfectly, but if it's too risky investments, it could wipe out your entire portfolio. So you can make a great financial decision and still fail due to bad luck, or you can have a reckless decision and exceed purely on luck. You might invest into a company that's heavily leveraged or an industry that's really risky, but something happened, a new product came out, new innovation, stock goes up, and you cash out big. Or you could do all your research, invest in a company that met all the safe criteria, wasn't too risky, but say a natural disaster happens, a forest fire wipes out the industry or one of the projects they're working on, that's bad luck. It's kind of hard to foresee catastrophes like that, right? So again, I'm bringing up, you can see Bill Gates here holding the luck and risk coins. So I'm gonna look at Bill Gates and his friend's fate. So this is between luck, looking at luck. So Bill Gates is one of the richest people in history, right? But a large part of it was kind of due to luck. So he attended one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer in 1968. So he was lucky enough to be at that school, and I think there was only 300 people that went to that school. His close friend, Kent Evans, who attended the school as well, was heavily involved in learning about computers and was part of learning with Bill Gates. Again, very talented, but he died in a tragic accident at 17. Bad luck. The lesson, so while skill and hard work do matter, there are external circumstances, good or bad, that can change everything. So just don't be so hard on yourself and if some circumstances happen that changed your financial journey. The danger of learning the wrong lessons. So when we hear a success story, we focus only on what worked and we ignore what could have gone wrong. People often assume that copying successful people will guarantee success, but they ignore hidden luck behind those successes. So, example, if someone made millions in cryptocurrency, was it skill or just good timing? Was it, yeah, they just bought it at the market early, took off, saw a random video to buy this coin, they did it, and it took off and became millionaires. That could just be luck. The problem with overconfidence. So many successful people believe they succeeded because of their intelligence rather than luck. This can lead to reckless decisions because they assume their skill will protect them from failure in the future. So, example, the 2008 financial crisis happened partly because bankers assumed they were too smart to fail. The right way to think about luck and risk is to be humble in success. Recognize that luck played a role. There are a lot of things outside of your control. There's 8 billion people on this earth. There's so many different scenarios and circumstances, different countries, different companies, different decisions that affect what you're doing. So again, luck is a big portion of your financial journey. Be forgiving in failure. Understand that sometimes things go wrong, even when you do everything right. So instead of blindly copying successful people, study why they succeeded and consider the hidden risks they avoided. The big lesson is we should acknowledge the role of luck in our lives and avoid judging others too harshly for their failures. Financial success isn't just about intelligence and effort, it's also about circumstances beyond control. I know personally, I opened a restaurant in 2020 during the height of COVID. I was in New Brunswick, so it wasn't as effective there as, say, in Ontario, but there was other factors affecting my business, and we did well, but that could have been because of luck, because COVID didn't hit New Brunswick. There wasn't mandatory mask mandates. There wasn't we needed security guards at the front of our doors. A lot of businesses were still open, so that was luck. Why did COVID not hit New Brunswick as hard as Ontario? Why were the laws not as heavy? That could just be luck, and that's why probably why my business survived. So I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the man in the car paradox. So Essentially, it's the paradox of status symbols. So when you see someone driving a luxury car, your first thought is usually, oh, that's a nice car, not that the person is really successful and admirable. So this creates a paradox where people buy expensive things to impress others, but the same people are rarely the focus of admiration. So yeah, when you see a good car or boat, anything fancy, you focus on the item itself. You're not thinking about the person. You're just thinking, ooh, how can I get that? I would enjoy driving that or owning that piece of equipment. People desire respect and admiration. So humans are wired to seek status. We want to be respected and seen as successful. The mistake is thinking that owning luxury items will automatically make others admire you, when in reality, they admire the item. What actually builds true admiration? People admire humility, kindness, generosity, and confidence more than wealth displays. Those, those who accumulate quiet wealth, i.e., saving and investing, often end up with more freedom and real influence than those who chase visible status symbols. The power of financial independence. Real wealth isn't about what you own, it's about what you control over your life. So the ability to do what you want, when you want, is more valuable than impressing strangers with a luxury car. Big lesson, instead of spending money on the things that impress others, focus on building financial independence and security. The people who matter most will admire your character, not your possessions. So with saving and having a financial plan, yes, you want to buy things that you enjoy. You want to go on trips and have fun and yeah, buy that fancy car, but don't let it overshadow your financial plan to save and retire at a certain age just to buy that flashy thing to impress others. If you want to buy it because you enjoy it, yes, but you got to think, am I buying something this expensive or this flashy because I'm trying to impress someone or I want people to ask me about it? No one really cares about your experience and what you have. They want it for themselves. So next we're going to look at saving money. And this is kind of what's going to be tied into looking at the budget tool that I created. So why would you save? Saving money gives you options. So many people focus on earning more or chasing higher investment returns, but savings are the most reliable way to build wealth. So saving money lets you take career risks. If you have an emergency fund, you can quit your job, survive unexpected expenses, buy time and freedom. You don't need a high income to save a lot of money. I think this is maybe a misconception a lot of people have. So wealth is not about how much money you earn, it's about how much money you keep. So many high income people live paycheck to paycheck still because they spend everything they make. There's usually, the more money you make, you believe you have more, well, you have more spending power. So you just keep spending more. You buy more expensive things, you use more services. You think, well, I can afford it, so therefore I'll spend it. Conversely, people with modest incomes who save consistently can accumulate significant wealth over time. And I'll have an example of this in the next slide. The power of living below your means. So spending less than you earn is the easiest way and most effective way to build wealth. The lower your expenses, the less pressure you have to maintain a high income. Makes sense. So savings equals independence. So every dollar saved isn't just money, it's control over your time. With enough savings, you can say no to things you don't want to do and focus on what matters. You can maybe work less, spend more time with the family. Savings equal power. You can have that peace of mind if you have an emergency fund in the bank. Financial security is more important than flashy wealth. Many people appear to be rich, and true wealth is having money saved and invested. Example, a person with a $50,000 salary who saves 30% of their income isn't a stronger financial position than someone who earns 500,000 but is spending it all. You might see people driving new trucks, fancy cars, furniture, going on trips. All of this can be financed. So this person might be making 50,000, saving nothing, but financing everything, their car, they have a mortgage. You can finance a trip for, $100 a month. You can go down to Mexico. Tires, you can finance those. There's so many things you can finance. You can get special credit cards for it. So just because you see someone having a lot of things doesn't mean that they actually have a lot of wealth. So again, the big lesson here is saving is more than just money. It's about freedom, security, and peace of mind. The ability to live your life on your own terms is worth far more than luxury purchases. So when looking at financial behavior and the power of enough, there's two stories here I want to share that maybe might um, help you with your financial journey here and maybe change your mindset about money. So the first person I'm going to look at is Ronald Reed. He lived a modest life. He was working as a janitor and a gas station attendant. So he did this all his life. And despite his low income, he was frugal. So he lived below his means. He saved consistently and he invested in blue chips stocks. I don't know if you've heard that term before, but essentially these are large, well-established companies like Microsoft, Apple, McDonald's, and he left his investments compound over decades. So he started working in his 20s. So when he passed away in 2014, I think he was about 90 years old, 92. He shocked everyone when he was leaving behind $8 million, most of which he donated to charities. So it was time in the market that is where he made his investments. So he wasn't buying the next crazy stock, the next boom. He was consistently investing. He was not spending more than he made, and he stuck to his investing strategy of, putting away a certain dollar amount every month. So the lesson from the story is wealth isn't about high income, it's about financial behavior. So his behavior was not spending more than he made. He didn't buy flashy things and luxurious things. He stayed consistent in his investing. So now looking at the power of enough. So in your financial journey, sit down and think of what is enough for you? How much would you need to make in order to be comfortable? How much do you need to invest in order to retire at the age you want to? The person example I'm going to give is Jerry Durham. So he worked and saved diligently, living below his means, and he accumulated enough wealth to sustain himself. So he worked menial jobs, like low income, for about 10 to 15 years. And unlike many people who kept working in depth and keep working to chase the higher paycheck, make more money, buy more things, he had a financial target in mind that would allow him to leave his job. So once he reached his financial milestone, he quit his job and then pursued his passion of being a full-time musician without worrying about money. So he was able to have enough investments where he could live off his dividends, live off the money he had, maybe have paid off his house, had no loans, and then now he could quit his job, pursue his passion of being a musician, make money off that as well. But he had enough and saved up that he could sustain himself. He didn't need to keep working so he could buy a bigger car, newer car, bigger house, more furniture. He was content with what he had. So the lesson is wealth is about freedom, not just money. Many people continue working even after reaching financial security because they're constantly chasing more. I know for myself, as an example, I used to work on the rigs. I made twice as much money then as I do now as an account manager. But I had to say what's enough was more money and less time at home because I had to work remote locations. I had to fly to another province and I had to be away from my wife and my pets. So I had to figure out what's enough money for me. Now in the job that I'm in, it's enough money. It's not as much as working on the rigs, but it's enough to sustain the life that I want and the time commitment that I want to get to work. So that's the end of the slides. Now I'm going to jump into the Excel sheet that I made to show you how you can budget and how you can save. And just to reiterate that the point of budgeting isn't to have more money, it's about being happier the money you have. So I'm going to pull up Excel here. And if you don't have Excel on your computer, what you can do is create a Gmail account. And if you already have one, Gmail gives you a lot of the Office suites available, or sorry, a lot of the options. So you can get Google Sheets. It's already given to you for free. It's already loaded in the program. Just make a Gmail. When you open up Google, you can see Google Sheets there. And you can use this Excel sheet. You can save it into it and open it. Or if you have Excel on your desktop, use it too. So looking at this Excel sheet, which I think is going to be available on the NADF website. So what we got here is a monthly overview of your expenses. Then we have a tab where you enter in all your expenses. We have an income dashboard, shows you all the money you're making. Maybe you have multiple sources of income. I can enter in all those income sources. Debt repayments, this is a tab. So you can list out your debts. You can see, list out what the interest rates are, track your progress towards it. I'll show you that tab as well. And then I have a budget tab I didn't include here, but just kind of high level budget. I use this one to make it simple because I know maybe people might get discouraged or don't want to keep budgets. So I like making them more simple, and it helps me save better. And just looking at not necessarily Excel tools, but just listing some tools you might find interesting. I don't know if people use their keyboards, but these are super efficient keys that help with speed and efficiency in using Excel or any Microsoft, or actually anything on your computer. If you press the Control key plus any one of these letters on the keyboard, they do this function. So copy and paste, if I highlight here, I press Control C. You can see how it's highlighted here. It's moving. That means it's copied. Click down on another cell. I press Control V and it pastes it down. Same thing with cut, works the same way. Control B, bold. Control I is another one. And you can, this is italicized. Spelled that wrong, but but yeah, if we highlight this, press Control I, italicized. These are just things that help me when working in Excel. I'm all about efficiency and trying to be faster. If you Google shortcut keys, Excel shortcut keys even, it'll show up. It'll give you a list of everything you can use, but these are ones that I use pretty much every day. So looking at the Excel sheet that I made. So this is kind of an expense and income tracker, which I use to build my budget. So this gives you a monthly overview, and this is what I pre-populated what expenses that generally happen in someone's month or lifetime. You can change these to what you want. So this shows you by month. So this will show you in January how much money you spent on your mortgage, how much money you spent on your insurance. For example, here, like we see in March 2025, we spent $500 on expenses. So it will add up everything for the month. It'll show you the total expenditure for that month. This pulls in the total income for that month, and then it will show you gross savings. So your income minus your expenses show you how much you made that month, or sorry, how much net income you have for that month. What else is cool about this tool is you can set a monthly budget to whatever you want. So down here is just entering in the numbers that you want, whatever budget. So just to show you quickly, for mortgages, say my budget is $400. There is conditional formatting on all these cells. So it highlights it in red if it's above that budget. Mortgages are usually fixed, so don't be too worried about that. But let's say utilities, that would change every month. Gas would change, groceries. So if I change this back to say 600, you can see that the red highlight goes away, which means I'm in budget. So once you enter in your expenses for the month, you can see if you're over or under budget, and it highlights in red, so it's visual. This is just a bar graph and a pie chart and shows you what you're spending the most on. So gives you visual representation to see, oh wow, like I'm spending a lot on groceries. Like what is your biggest expense? And then you can drill down into and be like, why am I spending so much on groceries? Well, maybe I'm buying expensive items. I'm not buying things on sale. So the way to use this is you would go to the expense tab and you'd enter in the purchase date. You have to enter it in this format or else this can't read it. So we're going to enter, let's just see, utilities. So utilities expense is one of the categories we have here. So we're going to expenses, today's date, we'll just use as an example. So 2025, and it goes month and then day. So 03 for March, and then 04, which was yesterday. Item, so this is what we're spending on. So utilities, let's say water bill. Amount, say $100, and then category. And like I said, you have to match whatever category is here. Doesn't have to be capital. It will capture it if it's lowercase, but it has to match one of these or else it won't pick it up. So we're going to put in utilities. And just to show you that I did put lowercase, let's see if I can make this bigger. I did put lowercase just to show you that it picks up. So we're looking at March, water bill, $100. So when we go, oh, didn't pick it up here, 2025. March 25. Ooh. Well, did I spell it right? Oh, I didn't spell it right. So best thing to do is copy and paste. There we go, $100. So I spelt it wrong. Let me just try. I'm gonna put this as a lowercase. Yeah. So see, it's a lowercase here, and it picked it up. So we can see that well, we had 1667 as our monthly budget. So we'll change that to $200. Again, you can see that we're under our budget, so it's not highlighted, but if we had a budget of $80, it would highlight it. What I did, what you can do is if you enter in your expenses and you get a couple months, what I did is I used the average function to find out what my average expenses were for each month. And that helped me create the budget. Well, it created it for me. So use the equal sign, type in average, and Excel populates the formula for you, or you can type out the full thing. Either hit tab or enter. I hit tab, and now it opens up the formula. So we want the average of all the months in the utilities category. Close it with the parentheses and hit enter. So this is picking, the reason it's 833 is it was $100 in March, but it's $0 in every other month. So if we go to expenses and say we did 2025, 02, February, water bill, 25, 50, 80, 90. Like I'm doing Control C, you can hold the Shift, press the down arrows to highlight everything, then press Control V, paste everything there. Same here, I'm using Control C, Control V, and we just want to change the date. We'll change this to January. Change this to April. Change this to May. So now you can see this is creating a budget. So we'll just take the months that we've entered in expenses for. So the average utility bill at Costas is $109 between the 5 months that we've entered in expenses. So now when you build your budget, you can say, I want to make sure I have enough funds, like $109 in my budget to cover my monthly utilities expenses. Generally, I like to round up. So if it's $109 is the average, you can see, some months were 150, some months were 80. I'd round up. Depends what you're comfortable with, how much room you have in your budget, but I at least round up to 120, maybe $130. So I can cover because he's put 130 there. Look, we're already down another month. Like we're to cover another month. And the months that I don't spend the full budget, well, it's savings for the next month. So when I have a high month, I have the funds available to pay for my utilities. If you want to add a category to your expenses, what we do is we highlight, oh, sorry, we're going to right click on the column. So this is column G. We right click on the column and you'll see insert. So we're going to insert. And what are we going to call this? I know we have a lot of expenses already here. All right, let's just say Amazon purchases. I know everyone makes those. Amazon purchases. Okay, now we need to copy in all the formulas that I've already created. So we're going to highlight by clicking in the cell, holding the left mouse button, and then dragging it to capture all these fields. You want to capture all the months, the total, the monthly budget. Going to press Control C to copy, or you can right click and click copy. Then we're going to right click and click paste. I don't want to paste. Yeah, formulas. Or you can press Control V. So now we added a new category, Amazon purchases. So I like to copy the category. So then when I go to my expense, I know the category I can enter in Amazon purchases. Let's say we made $400 of Amazon purchases. Amazon products. And we made it in 2025, March 15th. So now we can go to monthly overview, Amazon purchases. You can see March 2025, made the expense. So this, again, I use this to build my budget. So what I then do, you can come over to the budget tab. And I've showed this in my financial literacy webinar. But what I like to do is put in what your income is. So now you can see what you can play with. So maybe you have, 2 paychecks a month usually. You can have rental income, a side hustle, government assistance, and you want to add up your total income. So I'm just entering the numbers here using a sum function to add up everything here. And then what I like to do is break my expenses into non-discretionary and discretionary. Non-discretionary is essential. They are fixed costs each month that happen. It's easier to manage. So I know generally this number is probably not going to change much because things like your mortgage, car payment, insurance, they don't change generally each month. And these are things that I don't want to miss out on paying. I don't want to miss paying my mortgage because there's penalties. I could default on my mortgage. They could take my house. Same thing with car. It's going to affect your credit if you don't pay. Insurance. I need that on my house, my vehicles. Debt. I'm going to get charged interest or penalties. Utilities. You don't want your power being turned off. I need gas for my car to get to work. These are things that you need, right? These are not wants. These are things you need. I need pet food to feed my pets. So, like I said before, utilities, right? So let's look back at our monthly schedule. And for the 5 months that we've entered in now, we had, I'll just copy this So if you look, oh, it's copying that. So if you're in Excel and you look at the function, um, if you double click on the cell, it brings you in so you can edit that function, but then it highlights where it's pulling its information from. Where's the input? So highlighted in blue is what month it's inputting. So right now it's grabbing June, but we have no costs in June, so it's lowering the average. So I just want to highlight the months that I've entered in my expenses for. So if you look, you can see the corners have little boxes around them. So if you hover your mouse over one, you can see the cursor changes, the little arrows. So if you left click, you can drag and drop and make it bigger. You just want those 5 months. Now you can press enter. So again, we can see our average is 109. And like I said, I like to be conservative. Things change every month. I'd rather save more than get to the end of the month and not have enough money. Now I'm, not paying my debt, interest is accumulating, or I bought something that I couldn't afford. So now I can go to my budget, and we saw that the monthly budget I had averages $109. So I want to add, like I said, at least 120, but I'm going to put 130 in here. So now when looking at our budget, we know our mortgage is $500 a month. I mean, we all wish in a perfect world. Car payments, $200 a month. So this is the total expenses. Remaining shows what our total income is minus our discretionary, like our fixed cost, and then the remaining. We have $300 left over. So now this tells me I have $300 left over to play with discretionary. So these are things, it's at your discretion. You don't have to do these. You don't have to invest. You don't have to save. You don't have to go for takeout. So now I see, yeah, I have $300 to play with. So you can change all these expenses. Adds up to 450. So now I have 300 to play with, but my total expenses are 450. So now I'm at a total loss of $150. So now my discretionary, okay, maybe I should save less, or maybe I should go spend less on takeout. So this is going to help you build your budget and see kind of what you play for and give you a good insight into what you're spending on. And then at the end of the month, when you're filling out your expenses here, you can see what you spent, how much you spent on each thing. So mortgage, March, $500. So now I go to my budget. I can see actual mortgage. I spent 500. The difference is zero. Utilities. My budget's 130, but let's look at March. March, I spent $100, right? So now I can go to budget, actual, enter in $100. So I'm up $30. Okay. So once you fill that all out, you can see how good you are at being in line with your budget. So next I'm going to look at, I guess I'll look at the income dashboard as well. So if you had multiple jobs, this can show you how much money you're pulling in, what job you're pulling it in from. I had 4 jobs last year. So I had, well, 4 jobs. I was selling on Facebook. Um, I did some like kind of TaskRabbit things, some like apps to make money. So I decided to track here to see how much income I'm making. And like I said here, it pulls in your income. It pulls from that income dashboard and shows your total expenditure. So I can see how much I'm kind of making or not save or overspending in each month. So again, income dashboard works the same as the monthly overview. It shows how much income you're making each month. So we go to our income input sheet. Again, we enter in the date, same format as the expense page, year, month, day. So we go to income. This is just in a short form, but again, you want to enter in year, month, 03 is March, and day, say 15th. And again, these job titles, these categories need to match your income source. job 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me show an example. January. Oh, I gotta update these to 25 as well, but you get the idea. So job 1, 14,500. So if you went to income, we saw the job 1, you see lowercase, uppercase, it still picks it up, but we had job 1, 1,400 and 500. If we put in construction, go back to income dashboard, yeah, now it says 500, so it didn't pick it up. So if we want to put, let's say we work at Apple, all right? So now you can see it took away the 500. Go to income source. Job 1 is Apple. Change this to Apple. Income dashboard. So now we know we work at Apple. In January, we made $14,500 at Apple. Can show you what you made each month, what job you're making the most money at. Maybe this can help you too to decide, am I making enough money at a certain job? Is it worth my time to keep doing that? A little description, just maybe what pay period is, what invoice number you got paid. Next, little tool that I use as well to look at my debt. So, and again, my financial literacy webinar, I said you should list out what debt has the highest interest rate. Not necessarily the biggest balance, but what has the highest interest rate, because that's costing you the most money. The higher the interest rate, the more interest in dollars you're paying. So that's why I put interest rate here. You can list, what interest rates, credit cards can be 20 to 30%. And then you want to enter in the total debt. So just key it in with the keystrokes. $5,000 is your total debt. Then what's the current balance of it? So let's say current balance is $2,000. So what I mean here is the total debt is on, like, say you looked at your finances today and you have a line of credit, your interest rate's 9.5%. The total debt you have today is $5,000. So then each month when you're paying it down, the current balance is going to go down, right? So in a couple of months, you've put $500 a month towards that line of credit. After 6 months, it's down $3,000. So now your current balance, when I come back in September, October, now my balance is 2,000. So I can see that I've paid off 60% of my total debt. And this just gives a graph of what your total debt was. So debt 1, you can see, was 5,000, and current balance is 2,000. So just to give you a visual representation and hopefully encourage you to pay your debt down. And again, you can change these to be line of credits. So now a line of credit, and you can track, and then we got, like, say, credit card, car payment. So you can track each debt you have down here. And again, budgets, they can change. They don't have to be set in stone. You can change them each month. And that's why I think tracking your expenses, maybe do it, once a week, every Sunday, or you can do it once a month. Have a couple months you want to look at, like 3 months, get an average. And then even too in Excel, if you highlight Excel, if you highlight the cells, it'll give you the average. So it shows me 125, or I highlight all 5. It shows me the average is $109. Your averages, your budgets might change each month, but I think we need to enter in all your expenses in here, actually see what you're spending each month, and then this is going to help you build your budget. And then this can change each month, and then track your actuals. Look at how much you spent. So once you fill in all your expenses in here, you get an overview. Just grab these for the month of January, grab your balances in each category, and go to your budget, add in the actuals, see what the difference is. And then look in, why am I overspending? Why am I underspending? that is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now, or you can you can always email me. You can always call into NADF and ask for Peter Comisso, and I will gladly walk you through this. I can email this to you. And yeah, so thank you for listening.